Skaggs. Until this past December, I was a practicing physical therapist. And so now it's just a hobby. It's still really fun. I just don't want to deal with all the rigmarole of being a provider. So now I'm trying to help that from the insurance side. But it's still a really cool thing, and I still can't turn it off. I still am judging everyone always. I just choose not to tell you. And that's appropriate, because no one wants to be told how bad they're doing at something all the time. It's not fun. So, what I want to start with is, what is it? Does anyone have an idea of what good posture is? Open response.
I heard it's like you pretend you have a tail and you sit so that your tail isn't tucked under you, but that is out and that's
Okay, pretending like you have a tail, have it tucked under you and out. Okay, I've not heard it, but I like it. Someone said sit up straight. So, what does that mean? What is how? That's.
I think having good posture is
Okay. It's not good. It's not good.
like right now, I'm sitting up straight. It's not.
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
that's fair enough. Yeah, it's unreasonable to think you can maintain that
Yeah.
right now.
Slouching or sitting up straight?
Either. So, from a definition, posture is a position of the body or the way in which someone holds the body when standing, sitting, or walking. This was the only definition I could find that involved something dynamic. So what I would like to challenge everybody is that posture doesn't need to be static, like she said. It's not necessarily how well can you hold yourself in one position for a long time. If I asked anybody in here who is present, I'm going to need you to run a marathon tomorrow. Can you? And if you can, don't tell anybody. But you have to train. And you can only sit up straight for a little bit right now. But if I ask you that same question 6 to 8 weeks from now, you probably have a different answer. You will have 5 minutes of being able to sit up, although uncomfortable, may turn into 20 minutes. And that's awesome. That's teaching your body a pattern. So what I would like to challenge everyone to think about is that posture is dynamic. Posture is moving. While we are at work, we get really sucked into positions. And then we're in pain, and we don't know what to do about it, and we tend to just stay there or get into that position more. So, I hear people tell me, in my office, I work over on Waterside, we have standing desks. Every one of us has them, and they're like, oh, I use a standing desk, but it hurts. Yeah. So this posture is a lower cross posture. You don't have to remember that. Really, just think of this man's posture. This is really funny to me because this is an advertisement for how you're supposed to use the standing desk. And yeah, the numbers are fine. Don't pay attention to those. That's cool. That's good information. But where he is in space is really. Got it? Cool. So where he is in space really lets you know where he's weak. I see this posture all the time. So that's why I bring this up in an office setting, is because we are telling you, we are providing you with the opportunity to stand at your desk. How cool. It hurts. I'm not going to do that. That's fair enough as well. You haven't trained yourself to do it. And if you're statically standing there, so it says you have tight low back. Erector spinae is light, use your low back. Weak abdominals. Muscles like to be short. That's their job. If they are elongated, they cannot produce force as well. They get unhappy. the body is an equation. If we think bisecting into a front and a back, and we can think bisecting into a left and a right. These examples are really front and back, and we can stay there. We can talk about left and right later if we want to. But from sitting down, from not just your workday, but from childhood. About 6 years old, we get told to sit in a desk for a really good portion of our day. And as we keep getting older, we play less. We do less fun things. We don't ask as much from our body. And our body is meant to be dynamic. So back to that dynamic idea of posture, I like to view posture as, can you get to the end range of the possibility of the joint? So your shoulder should be able to get up to 180 degrees. It should go there. If it can't, why? And don't force it, so don't go to your point of, this is painful. That's useless. You will quit doing it. So in using this posture and going to the hip, which is another really mobile joint, but not quite as mobile as the shoulder, we get tight. We get tight in the front of our hips because we spend so much time seated. We then might sleep curled up, so we spend more time with our knees closer to our chest, which just means we're going to have an imbalance. If you know there's an imbalance, you can work with it. You just have to respect the imbalance until it's not an imbalance anymore. That's reasonable. We don't use our butts as much in our modern Western culture. So we've kind of gotten rid of a lot of our squatting activities. We're not harvesting things squatted down in the field and creeping along. We're not chasing down animals. We're not doing a lot of the things that our body's really cool for. Like, our body is super interesting. We're not using it to its fullest potential. So when you're thinking of a posture, this is really lazy. And it might not be, you might not think of it as lazy because you're standing. You're using energy to stand, but you're resting into some structures that are not meant to be rested into. They're not actively doing anything. It's all passive. The correction is I'm going to say easy, but it's just scooting back in space. It feels weird. We'll get to that. With this posture, you'll see, you have the possibility to see. I can't say anything for certain. But you see people having pain in their hip, pain in their groin, pain in their low back. You see pain in the butt. If anyone's done piriformis stretching and things like that, that's a very common thing. You can even get, from this posture, knee pain and foot pain. I can link it all to that. So that's one of the cool things about the body, is it's all connected. If, as a physical therapist, and this is my personal view on how I treat everybody, if you come in and tell me what your problem is all at your foot, and you just want me to treat your foot, I'm going to tell you I can't really help you. Because your foot is so far away from the center of your body. What's happening at the center of your body and why? If you look at things very segmentally, you will never change anything. It will not get more advanced. You will not get function back. It's just not how the body works. The body is a system. Next posture is upper cross syndrome. So this would be sitting at a desk. And you can see that guy on the ball, and I've told many people to sit on a ball. And this is a perfect example of that ball is not doing anything for him. It is now just this ball that he's sitting on, but he's slumped into it. And this is an easy posture to get into. This is not, unheard of because you're concentrating so much. Gravity is your constant enemy. And as you are sitting up against it and it's pulling you forward, you've got to fight it, but you got to fight it purposefully. And you got to fight within your limits, or it's gonna hurt. So here, we're gonna have a lot of tightness in the chest, a lot of tightness in the upper neck, and that's gonna be a lot of people with headaches could have this posture, or a lot of people with this posture could have headaches that occur a lot. With this, you may have tightness in your chest. I've had patients come in and say they went to the ER because they thought they were having a heart attack. And they were cleared, and nothing was wrong. Why would they tell me nothing was wrong? I have this pain in my chest. It will not go away. But then they go to raise their arms, and they usually are presenting here, and this, okay, so you can't raise your arms up. What did you do? What did you do the day before you had pain in your chest? Oh, I was helping a friend move. Okay. So now we have sort of an explanation of, did they ask more of their body than they were used to doing? Back to the pain comment of, it hurt, but you then feel like because someone told you to have good posture, you have to do it. You're obviously wrong, is what I tell myself. If like I need to push through this pain. That's not sound advice, but we do it, and we do it a lot, and then we give up a lot of we give up the creation of good habits because of pain. And that's where I want to kind of go with this, that posture doesn't have to be a painful discussion. It just has to be an uncomfortable discussion, but mainly in your brain. So it's mainly convincing your head that what you think is normal is not. It is not the normal pattern of existence. It is not efficient, but you have trained yourself to be that way. So, when I was talking about this with Sam and her team, they said, what about tools to correct posture? And I was like, okay, has anybody used any type of tools to correct their posture, or has anybody had kinesiotaping or anything like that? Has anyone had this experience? No? Cool. And you have no preconceived notions. So, these are really funny because they do not use a representation of what's real. Like this guy's muscles, he does not need that brace. His muscles are doing that. Back braces, upper back braces, shoulder braces, taping, they have a time and a place. They're not bad things, but they are an external cue, and they should be used as an external cue. We tend to, our culture tends to say, I want it fixed and I want it fixed now. And I want to do as little work as possible for that fix. That is your problem to fix me. In the immediate, that's okay. That's okay. These braces, these back braces may help you. Taping may help you. But in the end, it is going to be a training opportunity. So if you are having current pain, use it. Rely on it. But then once you get out of that pain, that's where you would want to say, okay, now, how do I make my internal processes mimic this external force that I've applied to myself? So it's about finding that equation in your body of how do you make it happen? It's not a fast process. It's a very slow process. And that's annoying to a lot of people. And if you've ever had physical therapy, it typically is over in a month. You typically go 2 to 3 times a week. That's not enough time. It's not enough time. That might be enough time for physical therapy as a profession, chiropractors as a profession, to make you feel good in the instant. It's not enough time for your body to get a pattern, a habitual pattern. It's not enough time. You need at least a month to form a pattern. You need 10 to 12 weeks to create real strength. You may find that you're stronger than you think, but that is only useful to a certain degree. If you're trying to actually get stronger, it's going to take 3 months. That's physiology. That's how it works. It's slow. So being cognizant of how you are sitting at your desk, how you are standing at your desk, how you are utilizing any process through your day is where you want to live. It shouldn't be painful. It should be mentally uncomfortable. It should be fatiguing. But it should actually give you measurable goals of saying, how do I interact differently? One thing I was thinking of is we don't use rotation very much in our bodies, in our day-to-day existence. Rotation is actually one of the most important things for our bodies to do. We need to be able to dissociate our shoulders from our hips. We can do that at our desk. We can do that standing. I don't know if anyone's ever done a yoga class or anything like that. They're very fun, pretty challenging. You can always question your ability to do it right, and I'm sure that I always feel like I'm not doing a very good job. But one of the things you can do in interacting, if you're seated in a chair, most of us have the ability to swivel. So swiveling purposely with your stomach and working sideways would be one way to say, like, how am I correcting my posture actively while I'm still working? Can I do this? Can I get a rotation? It feels really good to introduce a movement to a static position, especially if you've been stuck in a project mindset for an hour, hour and a half, and you're like, I've got to do something. What is it? Introduce different things. It doesn't always just have to be stand up and lock into a rested position here and then get back down into your desk control position. Not necessarily I don't think that's that big of a deal, but most people don't move. Like when I watch people around my office, they stay in the exact same place all the time. I'm a little bit of a spaz and am standing and moving and doing things because it's boring. And I found that with only working here since December, like I've had pains that I didn't have before, and that's really annoying. So I've adopted moving a whole lot more, just like I did as a practicing PT. So one thing I'll say, this would be a good takeaway. I say easy in quotation marks because this isn't easy. This is very time-consuming and tedious. But if you pay attention to these 5 points, you can kind of get an idea of what neutral is. And if you can understand what neutral is and what neutral feels like, you can move out of neutral. And you can experience things out of neutral. And figure out what your body's doing to say, hey, if this hurts right now, how do I go the opposite way? Not how do I dive deeper into it. So one thing you want to pay attention to is, what's your neck doing? Your neck is craned forward. You want to tuck it back. Now, if anyone's had any type of exercises for their neck, it can be uncomfortable. And that's, again, where I say, don't push it to discomfort. Push it to your ability. If your form is like this because it hurts so bad to try to get your chin down, don't do that. You're not ready. And that's okay. Are you working purposefully toward a goal? Good. If you're just trying to make it happen right now, you're not doing anything for yourself. You're probably hurting yourself, and you should quit. You're not a failure. You've worked too hard. Revisit it. With your shoulders, a lot of people say, and that's why I asked, what does sit up straight mean? People say, stick your chest out. People have told me countless number of times, military posture. And then what they demonstrate is this very puffed chest. Well, that tends to give you this low back curve, which is back pain. That's pretty much a good way to say, like, my low back is going to be hurting, cramping. It's not going to like it because I'm asking it to do too much work. And also, if I'm coupling it with the hip flexors, so what I talked about earlier with the standing desk guy, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt nearly immediately. So you want to be gentle. You want to say, can I pull my shoulders down and back? It couples with a third point. Can I get my abdominals engaged? What does that mean? That is not a crunch. That is not a sit-up. That is more, if anyone has children, your child is coming to run and they're going to hit you in the stomach and it's going to knock the wind out of you. That is anybody playing any sport and embracing to be hit. That's that protective posture. It's also going to the bathroom. If you need to think of that reference, it's that bearing down and here that will get you forward, not crunched. Next, when I think about core, I don't just think about the abdominals. I think about your glutes too. So they come hand in hand. If you squeeze your butt cheeks together, you will feel something different happens. Now, what should happen is that extends your hips a little, and it changes everything down to the floor. Even if you're sitting, it's going to change what your knees do. It's going to change what your feet do. And then, last thing is just check what your knees are doing. So if your knees are locked backward, I can't do this, so I can't show it. But if you have a locked backward knee, hyperextended, it's an added challenge actually for you because you have to unlock and use your quads to do a little bit more work than you're used to because you're used to just resting back into that passive tension in the back of the knee. So, would anybody like to play posture in front of everybody? Maybe I'd like to be up in front of the camera. Okay. Thank you. So, stand here. Do you mind taking off your boots?
No, my socks are mismatched.
I don't care.
Is it really? That's cute.
So, go ahead and stand here. Face the monitor actually. So you're going to be your living screen. You're going to be able to see what you do.
How's my backside go?
Do you mind or pinch your sweater so people can see what's happening at your back and so that you can see what's happening at your back? Okay, so when I'm thinking posture, we're thinking where does So I'm thinking, where does the ear align over the shoulder? Specifically, the actual hole in the ear. Where does it align over the shoulder, over the hips, and over the ankles? So it's going to be pretty easy to see, and you'll get to see like what you do and how you correct it.
I know, I got it on here. It's cool. Fine. Yes.
Okay, so we'll start at our head. So this is going to be a little tricky. Glance up, don't tilt your chin up so that you can look what's happening. So you don't want this area to be cocked back. Correct. So some of our failure might come with you trying to see yourself. So It's not bad at all. Can you pull back at your chin a little? Yep, that's good. Does that feel weird?
Actually, yeah, it really is. It feels like maybe a little smaller.
Okay, lessen it a little bit. Better? Okay, so you should be able to tuck back further, but that goes into the point of don't try to do something you're uncomfortable with. You won't do it.
Right.
It's okay. So with your shoulders, can you gently push them down away from your ears? Yes. Can you gently pull them back? Too much. So, is that okay? So now here's the fun part. Squeeze your tummy like I'm going to hit you in the stomach. Watch me. So, bring your chest forward. Let your butt back. Pinch here. Pinch. Down. Pull down. Yes. So did you all see what happened when I said yes, and she pinched down? She moved back in space a little bit. She's not that bad. So her posture is really, she's not a great example, but it's okay. So pull that down again, really hard. Yeah. Pull your sternum down. Try to push my finger away. Down. Yep. See how her backside went backward? Now, just squeeze your butt cheeks together. Did you do it? Because it looked like you did it. And you threw your hips forward, and your knees rotated, and then you laughed. So then it ruined it. That's okay.
You said butt cheeks, you said,
I'm trying not to talk over everybody. I mean, maybe everyone does know gluteus maximus, but usually if I talk to someone else normally, they know that. So get back into that position. Go back to everything you corrected. Yeah. Okay. So now let your knees be soft. Let them, and see if you can just rotate it to where the knee is in line with these toes. Nope, sorry, don't move your feet. That was my bad. Use your hips. No. Don't move everything. Leave everything still. Watch my leg. Open, just like that. Yeah, it is weird. But you'll get an arch. So do it on both sides, and you'll lift away from that finger. Keep your foot down. Don't twist your body. Leave your body still in space. Just open your hips. So if you're doing this, stop. Just open.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, okay.
So, stop. Right there. No, it's good. I was watching them move. It's fine. Make sure this is corrected, which you're doing a good job with. What do you feel? You should kind of feel abnormal.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're falling in any direction?
I mean, when I go like this, I do. I feel like that's
Yes. That's super common. That's that perception that I want everyone to think of if they try this correction. It's because you're going to feel like you're falling forward.
Everyone stand up.
So that's where you are positionally moving your chest forward. Trust what your eyes are telling you, not what your brain's telling you, because your brain is going to rebel. Your brain is going to be real ticked off because it thinks you're going to fall. It has no idea, and it doesn't trust your eyes.
Okay.
But that's going to be a good position to then play at the desk. To move out of your neutral position. So neutral is not really that useful. It is good knowledge. It is not a good thing to work in. You're not going to be able to maintain it. It's going to hurt. If you play in it, then you have a chance. Then you will be able to maintain that. So thank you very much for coming up.
Well, I did have a question. So when it comes to any type of ergonomic furniture that we use, is it actually
So the question is, when it comes to ergonomic equipment, is it helpful? Is that basically?
Yeah, because you're talking about posture. It's like some people, again, do have ergonomic furniture, but is it actually helpful to them?
Depends. Depends on how you're using it. So, I'm going to be mean for a second. No. So, when she put her shoes back on, she rested right back into her hips, like she was doing up here before I had to correct it. And rest into it, make your gluteus maximus do the work to hold you. So, that's the answer is the ergonomic equipment, the ergonomic setup is only as good as the user. I would challenge everyone to flirt with positions that allow them to maintain that ergonomic position and see how they can maintain it. Because again, static is bad. Static is, our body's not meant to sit still. Our body is meant to move. And therefore, if you have set yourself up into this optimal position where you don't have to move because everything's at the right height, I'm going to consider that a pretty bad setup. I'm going to consider that, yes, you've made it easy on yourself, but in the long term, you are probably going to be in more pain because you are not moving because everything is optimal. Should you make things dangerous? No. But you should use your ergonomic equipment in a fashion that gives you cues, doesn't support you, doesn't allow you to stay in a position that is. Yeah. You should always be a little mean to yourself. Yes.
More just a comment on the Humana ergonomic. Yes, it's not meant to be I'm going to stand for 8 hours now.
Yeah.
It's meant to be alternate kind of throughout the day as your body feels comfortable and you get to understand basically your range of mobility. And yeah, I'm going to stand for that meeting. I'm going to sit for that meeting. I'm going to go back to standing, work for a couple hours. And I found that helps a lot. It just increases mobility and using those cues as you said. So that's how I've used it. And
Right.
recommended it.
And that's good. And that's the Humana recommendation. That's cool. That's just not how it's practiced a lot of time. And it's wonderful knowledge to have. Just tell people they're standing funny. Do it. They'll take offense. They
I'll be
will.
honest now.
So, thank you very much. So, I know that's my computer screen. Why is it? I can't see it. So, talking about rotations, like these are all things that you could do to rotate. So, dancing, you can tell these people really trust their balance. They're on the edge of a roof. It's really cool because they are maintaining that equation of what allows them to defy gravity. It's very neat. This lady up in the top corner, she has Indian clubs and a steel mace. It's very primitive. It's very fun. I've been playing with these tools for the past few months just because I wanted to play, and that's what it feels like. So I'm working out, but it's play, and you feel really cool. You may look like a dork, but you feel really cool. Same thing with these ladies who are in a sword play class. That's walking. This motion that this lady has, that's walking, and that is how you should adjust yourself to walk. This is an extreme rotation, but that's cool. Federer hitting a ball, that's just showing the range of what the hips and shoulders should be able to do. So, what I would say is, whatever you pick, just have fun. Just have fun with whatever you're doing. And If you're having fun, it's not really exercise. It's not really an activity. So that's where I'll leave that. Does anybody have any questions? Penelope's. It's our 3-year-olds. Sorry.
Sir, I feel like you give a lot of advice about standing posture. Could you give any advice about like sitting posture a little more, maybe? Just like what that's the way to sit and things.
Sure. It's the same advice. It's just you don't have to worry about what your knees are doing. And that being said, like, don't rely on the back of your chair to hold you all the time. Rest sometimes. You have to rest. That's completely okay. But when you go to do an action, engage. May I borrow a chair? So, in sitting here, I could slump, I could be engaged, I could be over-engaged. Finding that balance is where you want to play. And then that's where I say you can play with rotations. You can play with that, you can play with what your head's doing, you can play with how you're looking. Be mobile. You're limited because now you don't have your feet as part of the equation. But it's still playing outside of stuff right here in front of you. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the chair.
What exercises are good? Like yoga, swimming, contact sports, tennis, I don't know. What sports are fun and good to do?
So she asked what sports are good to do, what exercises are good to do. Anything you like, anything you enjoy. I would take this from a stance of people who tell me they don't like sports, they don't like exercise. What do you like? I like watching TV. Okay, make it more active. Stand on something that's unstable and see if you can maintain that posture. Sit on a ball, play video games, and don't let your feet touch the ground. See what you can do to try to be just on the edge of dangerous. That would be my advice to someone who says they don't like exercise, don't like sports. My advice to someone who does like exercise, does like sports is make sure that you are doing it in the best possible form, not just getting the action completed. So getting the action completed is one of the things that you do when you learn how to do a new activity, and then you refine that and you make it perfect. You want to be as perfect as you can be with any activity that you are doing, or it may not be worth doing, it may be more damage. Does that answer?
So people can hear me. Hi, I'm Amanda McGee. I work in IT, and I used to work out, consistently, and then I became a mom, and sleep deprivation was a thing that went on for years, and I just haven't gotten back into consistently exercising because it just sounds terrible. How do you get back into it when you just feel already so tired from working all day, tired from taking care of your kids, even if you don't have kids and you're just tired? How can you make committing to an exercise routine, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, practical, given the constraints in your life?
Yeah. So, for anyone who says they don't have time, it's very valid. How you perceive your day is important, and if you don't feel like you have time to do anything, you won't. And you may get down on yourself for not doing it, but you just don't have the motivation at the end of the day to do it. So, what exercises do you like? That's a list. Okay, how can I do those at work? you may be able to fit in just little kicks while you're at a meeting and try not to let anybody know that you're doing anything. And you're being so stable that no one can tell. If you're in a really, if you're in a face-to-face conversation and you just maintain a little bit of action, it's really not that awkward, and no one's gonna know if you're playing with that. So that's kind of just prepping you to be aware of what are my hips doing. With the kind of question of what about sitting? Well, I mean, that's going to be one of those things where you can be sitting there and you could pull your shoulders back. You can try to elongate your spine and get as much range of motion as you have, and can't work from there. But you could do it little bits throughout the day, which is going to be better than the nothing. And you can find that throughout your day, do I get more tired? Do I have more energy maybe from working out? Because some people are energized by working out, and working out doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be any challenge to your normal day. So, like I was saying with the standing desk, you could work low in a lunge and twist it and play, and then you could go and twist into the other way. And you could get that. You could make it a really fun posture that we as Americans are generally really bad at. I'm really bad at it, is squatting. In talking with people who are from India and China and Japan, and interacting with them, they have squatting as part of their culture, and they can seriously sit without falling over and just sit and hang out, and it's really cool. That's really hard to do. So you could hover over your chair if you're not good at squatting, and if you fear for your existence, that you are going to duff it during a meeting. Have your chair there and just sit down. It's okay. Maybe someone will be able to tell, but they probably won't care if you're on video. And if you're on audio, just don't rip your phone out. But that's going to be one of the instances where you could hold a squat at your computer for quite some time. You could make sure you could make it dynamic, you could make it static, you can hold kicks and be balancing. You could go into a push-up if you're just listening to a meeting and push up on the side of your desk. You may look weird, but who cares? Yeah. So I think that would be the answer. Fit it into your work day. Fit it into your work day. And then if that works to help you feel good about what you're doing, you might find time. You might find time that feels perceptibly okay to give to yourself. Does that help? Go for it.
I had a chiropractor that told me I'm basically ruining my body by sitting on my stomach. So are there like habits that enable kind of like making sure your body's like okay and
It's a really difficult question. It's a really personal question because I can't watch you sleep. So like we'd have to analyze quite a bit. So I'm not going to be able to give a great answer, but I'll give a really vague answer. You are not going to be able to control how you sleep very well. So your body should move throughout the night because our bodies don't like consistent pressure. So we move out of positions that we're uncomfortable with. You may be able to guide a position that you have with body pillows and stuff like that. Where I would really focus your efforts though, instead of trying to control something that you're doing while you're not conscious. Try to control stuff that you do right before you go to bed and stuff that you do right after you wake up. So if you, have you ever had a dog or a cat? Okay, what do they do upon waking up? Yes. That is where I would tell you, try to find some good stretches that lengthen you, that hit your hip flexors, hit your hamstrings, hit anything in your legs. Just bend down and try to stretch your back, try to stretch your arms, go to bed. Don't be real aggressive, just be gentle. When you wake up, give yourself a touch of time to do similar things before you ask yourself to do anything strenuous. That would be more beneficial than trying to predict what position you're going to be in while you are not awake. Sleeping on your stomach is not bad. Sleeping on your stomach, maybe, usually it's a hip flexor problem. Usually it's that tightness here, and when you get up, you can't really get your hips down to the bed, so your back is too active while you're sleeping. You'll get back pain because of hips. That's a very common thing. I don't know if it's your problem, but stretching everything will lead to ease into your sleep and ease out of